I'm letting you guys in on a secret. You guys ready? Sonic Frontiers is going to be the best received Sonic game probably of all time. I don't make the rules here, okay? I just, say it as I see it. But we've had just about hours of footage leaked yesterday from multiple news sources, IGN, Shack News, and all these different places got their hands on with the game, and it looks like the full game they're showing off. And we've seen 3 of the 5 islands so far. We've started to see puzzles and combat, to the open zone, to plethora of cyberspace stage, from all the collectibles to being able to increase Sonic's stats. And I just think there's just too much going on with this game for this game to be anything less than an 8 out of 10. I mean, we've heard some complaints due to how repetitive the gameplay loop is. There might be some IGN kind of review where it's like, for Sonic Frontiers, too much water might be too many grind rails. I can't even believe this is the timeline that we're in, but it really seems like Sonic Team was onto something here. For the first time, maybe since the classics, this is going to be the first game where Sonic does not have something inherently ruining the experience of the game, or that is altering the experience of the game, tacked on alongside Sonic. Because the cyberspace stages are optional, right? So the cyberspace stages would be the one thing that I would think, oh, it's a different play style. But in reality, what we've been hearing is that the cyberspace stages are just one optional way to complete a level. You can just play in the open zone, level Sonic up all the way so he becomes broken as hell, and then worry about cyberspace later. If this game can really sell the experience that it's been promoting all these months since we saw that very first IGN preview, Sonic Frontiers is going to be something worth your time, worth your money. So what's the issue? Well, what do I think would stop Sonic Frontiers from being the game that it's been promoting itself to be so far? I think the visuals. But I don't think that's going to stop most of the gaming community to enjoy this game. I think that's going to be something that really hurts mostly us Sonic fans. It feels like the visuals in this experience are just not onto par what they've been in previous Sonic games. Not to say the graphics are bad, because that's a whole different thing, right? I'm not trying to say the graphics are bad. I'm saying the visual artistry in this game has been very bland. It's the environments, the animations, the pop-in. Like, I don't think they failed the mission. They wanted something realistic. The thing is, they didn't make it look as interesting as I think that they could have. Not even the cyberspace. The animations for some of Sonic's attacks still look rough around the edges, and the camera gets a little weird. Lots of pop-in as you're exploring the open zones. Ares Island especially, I think, is a big contributor to this problem, because it's just open desert, and then you have these random rails in the air, and then you see like this large tower off in the distance. It sort of like just lacks this visual eye candy, you could say. I'm not saying that the game is going to look terrible. I don't think it's going to be a game breaker for a lot of people. Graphics don't make a game. It's not going to be like Sword and Shield where people are just pointing out why a tree looks weird. I just think it's something that people have pointed out that I can see where they're coming from. In Sonic Forces, as bad as it was, the environments were beautiful. They were creative, well put together. Colors didn't have this problem. Lost World knew what visual style it was going for. I think Frontiers is just like, it has clashing visual styles with the cyberkinetic enemies to the completely realistic backgrounds. It's sort of like the same thing Jump Force had going on. It's not exactly bad looking, it just, I don't know, some parts of it just feel like out of place, a little too dedicated to the realism to really make the style fit together. Because you look at Sonic Unleashed, I mean, compared to Frontiers sort of is Sonic Unleashed too, right? Like, you have everything Unleashed have. You have your boost stages, and then you have your combat, more open stages. And it's like a mix of both. One takes a lot longer than the other, unless you know what you're doing, I guess. So the way I see it, Frontiers is definitely like a Sonic Unleashed 2. But it's funny because Unleashed also used locations or, scenery that was based off of real places. Like, that's as realistic as you can get. And it's like, it's not about the idea, it's about the execution. If they wanted Frontiers to look realistic, that's fine. But like, you shouldn't forget that your main character is a cartoonish kind of character. I think that like, you shouldn't try to counteract his style just for some sense of druidy realism, But if this is a sacrifice that makes the critics love the Sonic series again, and there's no more criticism about Sonic having a rough transition to 3D, and if this is the game that takes away all of that kind of banter and finally puts a good perspective on 3D Sonic to all these critics, and it's a deal worth taking. It's like, I'm not trying to be extremely critical about visuals. Once you do notice it, it does take away an element of charm from the game. At the end of the day, Sonic Frontiers is a video game. It's not a movie. It's not the exclusive Knuckles show or Sonic Primes. You know, I'm just hoping that in the next game they could improve on stuff like this. You have Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, and Speed Highway. We sort of seen them all before. Some people think the city level is new, but like it's not new. It's just Speed Highway reimagined. I think Speed Highway is the most reimagined because most people don't even realize that it's Speed Highway. So I guess they did a good job on that. Now we've started to see the Adventure 2 era stages start to come to light. At first we saw City Escape in the Speed Highway level, and now we're starting to see Green Forest, Skyrail. How can we see Skyrail when these stages are supposed to be Sonic's memories? Don't ask too many questions. It's cool, you know, it works. It's sort of like where Pokemon is right now, where I think Pokemon and Sonic are very much in the same boat. We are getting games that are finally breaking the same old formula that we've had since, you know, Red and Blue. Walk into grass, encounter a Pokemon, random encounter, whatever. Let's Go was the first game to really break that. Sword and Shield took it to the next step with the wild area. Legends Arceus took the wild area and made it the whole game. And now Scarlet and Violet is going to do that exact same concept as Legends Arceus, except there's going to be more interactability between players. It's going to be multiplayer, you know, you can play with your friends. So basically, again, it's like the wild area but improved upon, but it's still on the Switch, and the graphics are still you know, compared to something like Breath of the Wild, it's still just subpar at best. Sonic Frontiers is doing an amazing job with its boss design, at least from what I can tell. I know the IGN preview said it gets a little repetitive because if you decide to go through and do all the bosses, you have to face them multiple times, and I guess over the playthrough, the more you have to face them, the more annoying it gets. It really seems like the complaints so far with Frontiers are few and far between, and the flaws with the game so far, other than that, there's no inherent momentum, but there's a lot of ways that he can creatively use his abilities to create this sense of momentum, this sense of speed. So the lack of momentum doesn't really matter. So we're just happy with the way the game has been coming out so far. Really hyped to see what the game has to offer. You know, can't wait to explore Sonic's latest adventure. Yeah, it's been your boy Nistro. You know, expect more videos between now and November 8th. Appreciate your time, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.